Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or good night for whenever you're watching this. I do truly appreciate whenever you are. I'm here to give you another DFS lineup strategy for week 8 in the NFL. And with this pricing and with everything that's going on with this main slate, I think we're going to all need all the help that we can get. So, let's dive in. Let's look at it together, see if there's some spots we can exploit and win some money this week. So, if you can, before we dive in, please like and subscribe to the channel. It does help out. And like I always say, it does buy yourself some good karma. I just know it. So, all right. Going into DraftKings main slate, gonna pop into any one of these like we do, and then that way we can build some lineups together and see what is looking good. So I've been looking all this morning. I kind of did something new. I wanted to show some exploitive spots. So stick with me. I looked at rushing, I looked at passing, and I looked at what I wanted to do that I also do, or what I wanted to give in this video to what I also do personally, is I wanted to show discrepancies that have been happening the last 3 games. So, like, to get an idea, I mean, that could be a variation of things as far as who they played and whatnot, but it is sometimes really telling how these teams are playing the last 3 games and what yards they're giving up. So, like, for instance, Baltimore, they've been atrocious, right? Because they've been decimated at defense. They've been down a lot of guys. Well, they're starting to get guys back. So, like, for instance, so they've been averaging 135 yards per game giving up defensively on the rush game, but the last 3 games they've only been giving up on average 119, so they're almost down 20 yards. And then in the passing game, they are, what were they? I had my notes written down for you guys. They were 246 yards on average, but now they're down to 227 in the last 3, so almost 20 yards there. So, like, they're improving. Whereas versus, like, one of the biggest discrepancies I saw was the Colts in the passing game. They were already pretty bad. They were averaging 255 yards in the passing game, giving up on defense. But the last 3, they're almost giving up 300 yards. So that's just kind of like telling in what is going on. Another big one was the Niners. They have been giving up on average on the season 216, but the last 3 in the passing game, they've been giving up 285. So, man, that is, like I said, sometimes I just look at those discrepancies to see what is happening and who is giving up a lot in the last 3 to where we can go in and exploit for this next week, especially when salaries are finally getting up there on DraftKings. So, first lineup I wanted to do is that spot right there. So, Texans versus the Niners. There is a key, obviously, injury in this game, but if it does turn out that Nico Collins is out, then I think that's just going to help us. So, and like I said, the reason why I'm exploiting this is because the Niners, on average, giving up 216 yards, but they lost Nick Bosa, they lost Fred Warner, they've also lost, I'm pretty sure, another corner, and the reason being they were averaging pretty great 216 yards, so that's nothing really. I mean, nothing crazy. But the last 3, they've been giving up 285 on average. So we go to Nico. I mean, you could say that, hey, Jordan, they have some offensive line issues and they get crushed sometimes. But I mean, that was against a good Seahawks team that has a good pass rush. So maybe, just maybe, the Niners aren't going to have that with being pretty bad or pretty riddled with injuries on defense. So let's go. Let's try and build a Stroud stack. So, like I said, key here is going to be, let me just go straight to Houston. The key here, and they're in a dome, so weather doesn't matter. I do like that spot for sure. Nico Collins. So he's going to be really key, and if he's injured and not going to be playing, he's going to be in concussion protocol, isn't practicing Wednesday. So it's going to be telling on if probably the end of the week if he's going to be able to play or not. Another key injury is going to be Chris Kirk. Like I said, this it's going to be better. And look, he's not practicing Wednesday either. So both of them not practicing. It's going to be better. I know this sounds crazy, but it's going to be better if they do not play Collins and Kirk. So if they don't, I'm big on a guy. Hutchinson had, how many targets did he have last game? He had 4 targets when Nico went out. Higgins had 3 targets, no catches. I like Jalen Noel. I played him on Monday because I watched him in college and he is fast. He's really fast, right? He can get into open spacing. Well, it showed. I mean, he really liked to look at this. Right when Nico went out, he got 7 targets, 77 yards, and 4 receptions. So if both those guys are out, he probably is going to be looking to him quite often. But what that does also is it frees up a lot of salary. So because he's only 3,500, so you fill in that spot, and then obviously Dalton Schultz also looked really great. And look at what that does. That gets you anything you want. That stack right there. So Stroud double stack with Noel and Schultz. All Noel has to do on that price tag has to give you 15. And then all Schultz have to give you on that price tag is 15. But I believe he can get you a touchdown, maybe even a 100-yard game. He was really good at yards after catch when he was needed against the Seahawks there. So that stack right there can get you anything you want. The reason why I wanted to build this stack was because now what can we exploit in the running back game or the running game? I mean, prices went up. Jonathan Taylor went up. He's 9,500, almost 10,000. You only see that really in NBA. So, I mean, he's almost 10,000. He's 500 more than McCaffrey. Now, that's because the last 3 games, look at this. Well, not 3 games, but he has 3 touchdowns last game, game before that, and then 4 games ago. 1, 2, 3, 4 games ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 3 out of his last 5 games, he's had a 3 touchdown game. He's going to need that to pay off his salary. He doesn't look bad at all. This is the type of lineup that you can get him in. But like I said, he's going to need that salary. I mean, having said that, Tennessee is giving up. What are they giving up on the ground? Nothing crazy, nothing that stood out to me. So, I mean, they're not great. Let me just go look it up. Tennessee, on average, yeah, they're giving up 139 yards per game. So actually, I mean, they're ranked 29th. And the reason why is because I was trying to look at that discrepancy within the last 3, but they're giving up the exact same 137 in the last 3, 139 overall in the season so far. So obviously, Jonathan Taylor is a great spot to go. And this is the type of lineup that you can do it in. Now, I kind of like a spot even more. Miami. I like to target Miami. So obviously, Bijan is a monster. Miami's horrible at pass. They're horrible at rush defense. But more importantly, I mean, the last, let's see, they're averaging 159 yards per game, giving up on the rush game. Plus, the last 3, they're doing 161. So there's no discrepancy. They just suck. Now, it can be said that Tyler Algier runs some red zone. They do like to run him in the red zone. So, but at the same time, Atlanta, on the other end, it has been averaging 124 yards on the ground, giving up and on defense. And then the last 3, they've been giving up 151 yards. So they're pretty bad in the dome. And there's question about Penix. He's in question. Tua got benched. Maybe they're going to be going to their workhorses a little bit more, and maybe they'll battle it out. So you go a battle with, but also Houston's run defense. The reason why I'm saying Houston is because you want to probably get a run back with CJ Stroud. And the only guy to do it with is going to be McCaffrey. So, and that's scary because Houston's defense doesn't really give up anything. But I mean, they've been playing a little split. Like last week, they didn't give up anything, so it doesn't look great. But that's because they were playing against Seattle, who doesn't know who to give it to, Charbonnet or Walker. So maybe do a bring back with McCaffrey. And then I'm not going to be targeting Barkley. Giants have been giving up the last 3 games. Like I said, exploitive spot, only 101 yards the last 3 on the ground. And they're in shambles. But we'll get to that later. Carolina's been giving up nothing. Scadaboo's a really good spot, I think, against Philly. White, Bucky Irving is ruled out, so that's good. So you can go right back to Rachaad White. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to do that since he burned everyone on Monday, but you could go right back to him because he'll be low ownership and he's going to be the workhorse. He's out there 95% of the time without Bucky Irving. I wouldn't mind going right back to them. But like I said, this lineup, you could do whatever you want. So I'd be targeting Bijan Robinson, workhorse. Miami sucks versus the run and the pass, and they've just been averaging and giving up a lot more, and at home. And with quarterback in question, Penix or could be Kirk Cousins again. My gosh, he just always pops up. So you go there. So you go heavy running back because, like I said, you get that Stroud to where you get salary relief in tight end and wide receiver. You get two workhorses in McCaffrey and Bijan. Now let's fill this lineup out even more. Passing game, we want to be targeting, I think, and I'm going to build this other side later. You could do a passing target with Philly again because Giants have been giving up on average 245 yards through the air on defense. And the last three defensively, they've been giving up 258. So they're not doing great. They're doing great against the run, but they're not doing great against the air. And Hurts just had that monster game last week. So if they're stopping Barkley again, Hurts doesn't seem to be scared to go to the passing game finally in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So you can go whoever you want there. They're priced the same. We're going to build that stack later. But let's do like an A.J. Brown. And then Giants, you don't really do a run back. Here's an interesting thing because Philly on the rush defense has been giving up 128 yards per game. And so maybe you go like a Scattaboo in your flex. Let's try that. Let's try throwing in a defense. I wouldn't mind doing a not Bears because Lamar Jackson might be back. Could go Ravens. That could be real sneaky. They've been pretty crappy, but they're getting healthier at home against Chicago. What's his name? Caleb Williams likes to throw some interceptions. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I didn't really look at defenses to tell you the truth yet. Could go Panthers against Buffalo to stop that run. They were not going to really have a run game, so they're going to put it in Buffalo's hands, or I mean Josh Allen's hands. Maybe go Eagles. Maybe go an Eagle. Well, I can't do that because I have Scattaboo in here. Let's just throw one in here. Let's throw Ravens, just for hell of it. And then who's that leave you? 4,800 for your last wide receiver spot. And Keyshawn Boutte. Cleveland's been giving up on average against the pass. How many yards? Did I have it written down? Or let me go look it up. Cleveland's been giving up 173 on the year, but 202 the last three. So they're giving up 30 yards more the last three games. So you could go a Keyshawn Boutte. He likes to be targeted a lot from Drake May. And if they're stopping the run or the run's in question like they have been, that could be somewhere you go. Sterling Shepard in Tampa Bay because they're decimated at wide receivers now. I would go Tez Johnson. I would go Tez Johnson here. Whoops. And that's not a bad lineup. Something to think about. Maybe you just take out Scattaboo as that run back against A.J. Brown. And you could switch out McCaffrey and not do a run back against Houston, and you could get a cheaper running back there. But something to think about. I like Stroud. The key takeaway here is I like Stroud cheap stacks to get you whatever you want everywhere else. So let's do a second one. The second one, like I said, I really wanted to target because the Giants have been giving up on the rush game. The last, they went from 130 yards per game this season, but the last three, they've gone down to 101. So they've really been stopping the run game the last three games. They're getting healthy on defensive line and everything. So I like to do Jalen Hurts, and this, I believe, was in the Millie winner last week. Hurts +2. I would be willing to go right back to it. So you go a Hurts plus a 2 because are people going to play it again twice in a row? Maybe. There's probably going to be some, but it's probably not going to be terribly popular. They might want to try and exploit thinking that everyone's thinking every single week that this week's going to be Barkley's week. every single week. And I don't know. I traded him away. And the guy that I traded in my personal fantasy league and the guy that I traded away to, he also traded him away the very next week. Everyone thinks that it's going to be another breakout because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Barkley year again. And probably, but I think it's going to be real hit and miss. And I don't think it's going to be this week. So you can go right back to the well with Hurts +2. And then you can go, who would you go bring back? Honestly, I would go bring back with against their crappy run defense. And they like to run Scattaboo. And I mean, look at this 16 attempts, 19 attempts, but he's also getting targeted a little bit in the passing game too. And he runs like a psycho. So I would, if I did do a run back, it would be Scattaboo. It wouldn't be really in the pass game, or it would be their tight end, right here, Theo Johnson. So he gets targeted a lot. He gets the yards. He gets touchdown targets. So there's my dog, if you can hear them barking. So anyways, I would probably do like a Scattaboo run back if I did do a run back. And then who's that leave me for running back here? Going crazy because my dog hates delivery drivers. So I just got a delivery. We're all human, right? We got dogs, we got pets and everything. So anyways, let's go here. Running back. Denver's interesting to target for running back but I mean, are they going to do Dobbins? They do like to run the other guys. He's getting more, but for in the teen attempts, he's not really a workhorse. He's not used in the passing game. Dallas is next level atrocious at the run defense. So it could be an interesting spot. Could go DeAndre Swift because Baltimore technically is on paper, but they're getting better. They're getting healthier. And I'll tell you a really fun spot that would be a Breece Hall against Cincinnati because he burned everyone last week. So they're not going to want to go back to him again. But Cincinnati's giving up how many yards they given up? I got to go look it up. Let's see. Rush defense, Cincinnati is giving up 137 yards per game. So you could go right back to Breece Hall, or you could go to a probably very low-owned Derrick Henry. So I would probably lean one of those guys. You could go Carolina against Buffalo too. Buffalo's really bad at stopping the run. But are they going to run Dowdle or are they going to run Hubbard? I don't know. They seem to be splitting it quite a bit. Dowdle still got kind of more of the workload, but I felt that it was because they're kind of trying to vamp up Hubbard. So maybe go a workhorse, also a guy that burned everyone last week, but he's going to be on the field 95% of the time. You go workhorse Tampa Bay because the Saints are giving up. How many Saints giving up? Sorry, my dog kind of flustered me. Delivery guy. Saints are giving up how many yards on the ground? 129 yards on the ground, 143 the last 3 games. So I'm going to go to that spot right there. So I'm going to go to workhorse Rachaad White. Plus, they don't have their. You could go. You can go right back to Baker. I think a low own would be a Baker Mayfield plus Rachaad White plus a Emeka Egbuka. Maybe even a full on slot with Cade Otton too. That wouldn't be bad. Maybe we'll build that next time and see how it looks. But here's this 2, and then you go right back to wide receiver. You could go the guy that I like. No, I'll tell you who we go. We go tight end Schultz because I think he's going to be targeted a lot this next game. He might be very popular, but oh well, eat the chalk there. He looks really good. Then defense, let's throw in a defense against Atlanta at home. Looks good against Miami. Eagles against Giants. Denver against Dallas. That's probably going to be a shootout. Let's do this. Texans against San Fran. Now, I know I like McCaffrey, but it's only McCaffrey. So if they shut down McCaffrey, it's going to be pretty hard to get some points there. So I like them, throw them in there. And I know they just gave up double what they usually give up, but they're probably at home going to give up a lot less this week alone. So who's that leave you? A lot. So it leaves you, maybe you go game stack with, I know what you could do. Let's see if Ibuka, and then where is Olave? I'd go right back to Olave, but he might be. They finally priced him up a little bit. He's been in the low fives. Now he's in the high fives, which still is probably too low with how much he gets targeted. So who does that leave you if you do go this? Nah. Let's do if you go Olave, because he does get targeted almost the most in the league, if not the most in the league. I mean, look at this. And he got 2 touchdowns last game again. And that was his lowest, I mean, almost his lowest, but 10, 11, 14, 10, 12. He loves going to them, and Tampa Bay gives up a lot of passing yards. So maybe you go Olave. Who would that leave you? 63, Dowdle, Odunze. Ooh, you can go Sutton right there. I like that lineup right there. Hurts double with bring back with Scattaboo, Rashad White workhorse, Chris Olave target monster, and then Sutton against a very bad secondary in Dallas. Now they have been improving a little bit the last 3, but I mean, if they are playing from behind or if it is a close game, and they could be targeting Sutton in the end zone again. So I like that lineup right there as well. And let's do one more. So those 2 lineups I liked a lot, Stroud stacks and Jalen Hurts stacks. Now I wanted to try something a little bit more funny or scarce. I wanted to try a naked stack. Now I know what you're thinking is just probably because I feel like you could exploit a lot of spots elsewhere. And so Buffalo, or you could do like a skinny stack. I wanted to try a naked or a skinny stack with someone, because I mean, it's not going to be popular at all, but there's just passing exploits you can do, and there is rushing exploits you can do this week. So let's try a naked stack with Bo Nix. He ran a lot. I know he got a lot of rushing touchdowns last game. I think he's live to do it again. Or he's live to have a really good passing game. They're live to do, man. Let's just try just to see on paper what it looks like if you do a Josh Allen naked. So you do Josh Allen naked, then you go like if what the heck's his name? If Lamar Jackson is in, I wouldn't mind playing a Derrick Henry. I don't think he's going to be owned. So you do that. And then you do, what's another rushing game? I mean, obviously I like to target Bijan. I like to target Devon Achane. I think I'd go right back to the well with, I know I used Rashad White. I think I go right back to the well with Breece Hall. They're in question on quarterback. Might be Justin Fields again. If it is Justin Fields, I have no issue going back to him. I know I gave a stack last week. I know he got benched, but I'm a crazy guy, and I don't mind going back to Justin Fields. So let's try, though. Man, I really like Rashad White this week. Write that down. Notate that. But let's try Breece Hall. And then in the passing game, we target, again, let's get some salary. I really like Dalton Schultz also. Maybe just lock in Rashad White and Dalton Schultz this week in all your lineups. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Because I feel like the targets are going to be there for Dalton Schultz. And I feel like the workhorse Rashad White's going to be there, but we're going to do Breece Hall just to get a little bit different. So let's do that. And the reason why is I'm trying to do a naked stack here with Josh Allen, but then exploit the passing and the rushing that I like this week. So who would I exploit for passing? I like Dalton Schultz. I like the Jets, but they have no one to pass to right now. I like Chicago, but Baltimore's getting healthier. I like New England, but he has a lot of weapons to throw to. I like Philly. I like Saints. So let's try that again, just to do a naked. Let's do AJ Brown, and let's do Chris Olave, and let's do a bring back with Ibuka. And who's that leave you? Defense, throw in a defense. Let's do a cheap defense. Let's do, oh man, sicko in me. There's been times where, like last week, like Monday. I'll give you an example on Monday. The Seahawks routed Texans, but they defense still got 17 points, the highest on the slate. So you could go like a sicko stopping the run, Carolina against your naked stack, Josh Allen. Ugh. And then who does that leave you? Garrett Wilson at Josh. Oh my gosh. Jake Ferguson is way too high this week. You could go Devontae Smith. You can go a double. You can go hopefully a rushing upside Josh Allen getting 2 touchdowns in the rush game like this first game. 41 points because he got 2 touchdowns. No, he got 394 passing yards. That's not going to happen again, but I don't think he's not going to get passing. But maybe he gets that 2 to 3 touchdown in a naked stack with a Derrick Henry, very low owned, with a Breece Hall, probably low owned, and then AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Ibuka. Look at this. It is elite passing with Schultz, Smith, Ibuka, Olave, Brown, and then elite rushing technically on paper or in real life. So that doesn't look bad, guys. I don't mind it. And like I said, I'm a sicko and I don't mind going back to Justin Fields this week stacks, but my favorites is probably going to be Chris Stroud, Jalen Hurts, and then running naked somewhere. I don't know why. I just had it in my bones when I was looking at the slates and looking at the pricing that I don't mind going to a naked stack with a Josh Allen, maybe even a Lamar Jackson. Ugh, I hate to do it. Let me just build one out real quick, very fast while I still have you guys. If you're still here, thank you so much. Hit that like button. I really do truly appreciate it. I wanted to see what a stack looked like with the Stroud and the Schultz and the Jalen Knoll, because I wanted to see what it looked like with Jonathan Taylor. So you go Jalen Knoll. Sometimes these are the best stacks. I'm not kidding. When you just go through, when you know the players and you know what you've been building and everything, you go a Jonathan Taylor, and then you go the guy that I really like, Rachaad White. How much does that leave you? 5,500. You go a very targeted Chris Olave, and you could go. I'm trying to find some more salary relief down here. Oh, more salary relief. Tez Johnson. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get Jamar Chase in there in my flex. Does it fit? It does fit. It fits easily. You could go Colts against a very atrocious Tennessee. Leaves you 200. You get Jamar Chase, who's going to be targeted maybe 20 times again. And because, what's his name? Sauce Gardner's probably going to be out. And you get Tez Johnson with salary relief. You get Olave, the target horse. And you fit Jonathan Taylor in there and Rachaad White, the workhorse backs that are going to be out there 90% of the time. There you have it, guys. I like it. 4 stacks for you this week. And like always, here is a little preview of my week 8 cheat sheet. Going to come out Saturday. Have the top stacks again. And as always, with your membership, if you do sign up at thebetlocker.com, you get all of our locker picks, our prop bets that have been awesome. And NBA just started. I have been posting 5 NBA prop bets a day. My favorites. You get our daily picks, obviously. And you get all of this for the dirt cheap price of $6.99 a week or $19.99 a month. And made that cheap because I want to win together. And you get access to our members only Discord channel. So all this for dirt cheap price. And make sure you're going to want to get this cheat sheet and you're going to want to get my props because those have been my best profit makers. Been cashing a lot of tickets, especially if you're doing 2 and 3 teamers with that. So my props have been the best in the game so far. So there you have it, guys. Please like and subscribe on your way out. Buy yourself some good karma. And this week, I'm going to be putting out my Thursday prop video tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. I'm going to be giving out on Friday, I'm going to be putting out our Sunday props and NBA, my first NBA props game. So be on the lookout for those on this channel. All right, guys, please hit that like button on the way out, and we will see you next time. We'll see you guys.